Yes, Victor. I know that our water supply is absolutely riddled with dihydrogen monoxide. It is just everywhere. Well, so think of this. Think of this. You know how soda water is water infused with carbon dioxide? So instead of soda, it's hydrogen water. It's water infused with H2. Now, it's not effervescent. It doesn't bubble. It's just that that hydrogen has been like hydrogenated into the water. I'm not saying it's good for you. I'm not. I'm making a claim that water with carbon dioxide in it occurs, and so does water with hydrogen. All right. Well, I finished my from the freezer mint chocolate M&Ms. I didn't finish it. I only had a couple handfuls. I did not say it was good for me, Phoenix. I absolutely did not say it was good for me. Hey, a very amorous name. Someone loves Sean Mark Bob Wade. Welcome. Thank you very much, Daleric, for the raid. You and 21 others need to seal the doors. Ah, get in, hurry! We got to keep the aliens out. All right, you all. Oh, thank you for the host also. I mean, you're welcome to dip back in, Cybernetic, and weigh your opinion on hydrogen water. And while we do this, Silencio Steve, thank you for the follow. What were you all up to over in that channel? Were you also playing some D&D? Did you come over to the workshop after a big game? You gotta go? All right, Victor. See you around. Now, you all were raiding at an excellent time. Oh, a D&D session done? Awesome. And you know what? Hey, I'm very happy that I earned the opportunity to have you raid. Look, you took a chance on us. You said, well, who are these other people doing D&D? And you're going to see, because this is the ground floor of another part of our workshop tonight. Over the course of the week in our workshop, we have been going through some exercises in developing roleplay, like fantasy autumnal festivals. We started with a discussion of what are ones that we observe around the world, and it moved into us making 2 villains and 2 NPCs using our special worksheet for each of those that act as representations of those holidays. And now, tonight, we are finishing the details of the holiday by going through another worksheet in order to make everything just organically blend. It's all growing from our randomly rolled NPCs, our randomly rolled villains, which then fed into our settlement that we made. Who are the people that celebrate these holidays in this way? And we went through an exercise with the player's handbook and the not the monster manual, the Dungeon Master's Guide. And now, with this as a base, we're tying these concepts into how are these holidays practiced. Because holidays are a major part of any society, including if you want to present one in a D&D game. I also have a cat that is doing something that she probably ought not be doing, ma'am. You at least going to say hi to our guests? Thank you. All right. Well, thank you, ma'am. For any of you that have the cat butt emote, you are welcome to post it. Yep, O'Sheeps is Flashing the, it's an official Matty Morg stream. We've had Cat Butt on the channel. All right, so for all of you who are new here and you want to know who are we, what do we do, what kind of a community is this? How does some rando D&D guy interact with his chat and community and his cats, ma'am? I'll interact with you by petting you. There we go. So let's go over our final... Yes, Miss Ma'am. That's a nickname, a common nickname for her. Miss Ma'am. Our final holiday to develop is that in a fashion of the Day of the Dead. Dia de los Muertos. A kind of ancestor remembrance. So it's not necessarily about spooky, scary ghosts and murderers and whatnot. You know, that stuff can be a part of it. This is a kind of ancestor remembrance, an appreciation, like a memorial day for those who have fallen in combat. And as a time of liminality where the realm beyond and our world have never been closer, but perhaps on this one day or this week or 3 days, whatever we want it to be. I'd vote for that to be an emote too. Miss Ma'am. It would have to be a BTTV emote. As I don't have any more emote slots, official ones. Speak to me again in that fancy Spanish. Dia de los Muertos. More cat emotes? Oh, Silencio Steve, thank you. Cat emotes are certainly welcome here. So, the mascot, the person that originated this holiday, as we went through a random guide, a male white dragonborn druid, Circle of the Land, specifically Mountain, who was a soldier, and in particular, cavalry. He was known for having an unusual hair, or a dragonborn equivalent color. Great with animals. You'd probably expect that. Remember, all this was randomly rolled, and the fact that it was so spookily accurate to a character concept it was amazing. Speaks in rhyme or another peculiar way, and is usually very quiet. His ideal is that of responsibility, a lawful ideal. Doesn't mean he has to be lawful whatever, because primarily his ideal is a responsibility. His bond is that he's drawn to a special place, and secretly he envies other creatures' possessions or station. As we were building this NPC, that special place may very well be that cave, the hilltop, that part of the cemetery where the veil is the thinnest between the two worlds, as he ushers the ghosts of the fallen into the afterlife, or welcomes on this one day, or whatever, families to this area, so that perhaps for one day, for one evening, they may see their ancestors once more. Maybe even communicate with them. He is a bit of a Grim Reaper figure, though not necessarily the one that takes the souls. He is more one that ushers them along. Someone we were thinking that died in combat. And despite this, you know, wanting to live, wanting to serve, envies people who are still alive. But his responsibility is to those who have died. And where this interacts with our setting, again, these were random rolls. There's a permanent portal to another plane of existence as the weird locale that we rolled up. And that's probably this gate into the afterlife, through which this figure leads. With this as our primer, drawing on aspects of our avatar of our Day of the Dead, drawing on aspects of the settlement, the people, the culture that celebrate this day or week or whatever we want it to be. Let's create this final holiday. It's fine if we don't have a name for it just yet. And while it's at the top, you know, this is the crowning piece. I think that we can get a name from all the other prompts. So even if you all are new here, for any of you who've stuck around after the raid, please participate and throw your ideas out there as we come up with this customized autumnal holiday. How would we summarize? What is the point of this holiday? How would you summarize New Year's? How would you summarize Independence Day? You know, in 1 or 2 sentences. That's what I'm looking for here. What is the point of this holiday? Silencio, yes, perhaps. If he's envious of people's possessions, accepts a toll of prized possessions to see fallen family members. And so a family might be able to leave a kind of, I don't want to say a sacrifice per se, but a gift. And what would be interesting is if it was jewelry. For those of you who are new here, we came up, our first NPC was a villain who was a silver dragonborn who'd ride down from the mountain and bring frost, so that any crops left in the field would be cursed, unlucky, blighted. And so it was a cautionary, it was a villain. So it's a cautionary figure that if you don't work hard at the end of summer going into autumn, you have until the first frost to get your crops indoors. Because anything left out in the fields after this character has ridden down from the cold mountain and through the fields to frost them over, it will be cursed. And then the last NPC we made is a white dragonborn who also honors cold, right? Who's also cold. It was, the whole creation process was eerie in a good way. And I would urge you all to watch it as a VOD now or on YouTube later when it gets posted. Point of the holiday: to remember and perhaps even meet our ancestors and respectfully reflect on their lives, their ends, and ours, knowing one day we will be ushered through. We can even call this the arch, oh sheeps. We will be ushered through the arch into what's beyond. Yeah, here we go. Exclamation point YouTube. And if any of you, if you like what we're doing so far, and you would like to join our Discord, it's there. We keep it safe for work, no worse than PG-13. All of our past workshops are there. You can download the content, the worksheets, and everything that we've made. It's all available for your inspiration and modification. All right, what is a primary tradition? Now, if we were to take a look, at Day of the Dead, Often, you know, here we see people leaving bread and fruit and other things at perhaps a family altar. Spilled some water. Yeah, shrines and altars. We remember ancestors. We clean or decorate graves. Godfather Wraith, welcome. Woman lighting incense at a ceremony. Marigolds as a special flower. Tidying and decorating graves. La Katrina. Yep, skeletal masks and face paint. You want begonias to be ours? That's fine. Godfather, that's fine. We were talking about Samhain earlier as well. So any of this is perfectly fine to draw on for inspiration. All right, so what are some primary traditions? Is it similar? I mean, many religions and cultures have very similar practices. You'll find this in Mexico. You'll find ancestor worship and tending of graves in Japan and in many other places. And so there's nothing wrong if our list for our special take is pretty much the same as what we see elsewhere for other remembrances of fallen, like a Memorial Day for people who've fallen in combat, for our own ancestors who've come before. So this could be cleaning graves, begonia decorations, an anima for the dead. So that could even incorporate the flowers. A ritual dance. Now, somewhat related, but witchcraft. Well, in a sense. As yes, this holiday does deal with death. The acceptance of it. Realization that it will happen. The fact that we should care after those who have gone before. What if, as much as we say ritual dances, what if this culture treats their Day of the Dead as almost like a Valentine's Day, where love is expressed on this day because love is a celebration of life? And so, while, I mean, you're saying ritual dances, maybe the night of this day, or several days, culminates in a very popular evening with which you spend with a loved one in order to propagate life in the future, if you get what I'm saying. So it's not like a fertility shrine festival or anything. But it is a celebration of life and a continuation of the family line. And so after such a meaningful time spending with your elders and your ancestors, you hope that they bless you in the future. And is it baby making season? Could be. Doesn't have to be. This is an idea I want to throw out there that could maybe take a common idea and turn it on its side a little bit to make it our more unique version of a Day of the Dead. Place of possession of the loved one on the grave, a tribute to the Dragonborn. Maintenance of family shrines in the graveyard and relevant gifts if you want to speak with a certain family member. Yes, so we're going to go to this. Cleaning graves, begonia decorations, offerings left to the guide. He doesn't really have a name or a title that we've given to him yet. Offerings left to the guide to see the family. Often... Yes, a duality to the day. Honor the dead and receive their blessings to... Because if we honor our ancestors, I mean, we want people to honor us when we're dead, so you gotta have a family, right? And so, you know, many times you might ask the parents of your significant other for a blessing to marry or to have kids or whatever. And so because we have such an intimate holiday, death... Hey, Infernizard, welcome back. I hope our workshop helped you out last night. And so what I think is, because we have such an intimate time of reflection, of coming to terms with our life, to see what happened to those before, to carry on stories. What would be the best way to do so? But to also celebrate love on this day. I mean, St. Valentine was murdered. I mean, we could bring that up, too, if we think of, you know, Valentine's Day or Sweetest Day. It's October. I know, whatever. It's a Christmas card holiday. It's a Hallmark holiday. I understand that. But I think in this case here, because we have such an intimate day, you know, the other days are about community, working together, feasting, drinking. I think this holiday, this is something that is extremely sober and somber to individuals or to the family. And I'm not saying that the community doesn't, you know, do some baby making on other days. But perhaps 9 months after the Day of the Dead, we have the day of birth, something along those lines. Often an intimate time for people that is entwined in romance. Yeah, calving season. Now, oh sheeps, if we give begonias to the dead, if we're also working in romance and love for the living, would that be another fall flower? Should we be talking about chrysanthemums? Should we be talking about marigolds? Should we be talking about something else? All right, let's continue. What is a taboo or several taboos? What is something that people just shouldn't say, wear, eat, drink? What are some taboos that occur during this festival or during this holiday, this day or days? Godfather says don't wear dark colors. Yeah, it's about a continuation of the family. Yeah, because this isn't an end. It's a Day of the Dead, but it's not the dead's end because we're meeting with them. We're talking to them. The liminality on this day is so thin that the spirits might be able to come through, especially if you leave a nice prize for the guide. There's a... Oh, the joke about coxcomb flowers? Bachelor buttons? Going to another family's shrine without permission? So can you... So if it's taboo then, Silencio... is that implying then that it normally happens in the culture? Which is fine. We haven't specifically mentioned that. But if it's taboo, this is like if someone sees you doing it, ooh, or hears you utter those words, ooh, you might have someone cross at you. Dahlias? Okay. Dahlias for the living, and begonias for the dead. No dark colors. And you'll notice, by the way, you'll notice in pictures, if you look up Dia de los Muertos, you'll see bright colors. Even on the death masks that people are wearing. Even on the dolls. It's bright, it's living, it's festive. The dead are still us. They're just not living, but they're us still. Graves explode with color. So nothing dark on this festival. It's not a day for mourning per se. You can be sad, but you can still celebrate. Let's see. Dahlia is apparently witch hazel is another autumn flower, but it's a healing flower. Using lilies instead of begonias is taboo. So that would be implying then that normally the dead of this village are buried with lilies. But on this day, the begonias are more colorful. There's a song titled Dahlias for the Living, Begonias for the Dead. That's a good one. Hey, we have... That's a part of the exercise to go through. Whoop. Chrysanthemums are a taboo flower in Japan as they are the flower of death. I believe you are correct, O'Sheeps. Is there something we shouldn't eat? By the way, speaking of Japan, chopsticks straight up in a bowl of rice is also a sign of death. That is the offering that you leave to the deceased, is a pair of chopsticks upright in a bowl of rice. That is a taboo. A certain place setting? It could be a certain type of food, too. In fact, what if this is a day of fasting as well? You know, if the dead are given food, the living can go one day without it. So what if it's something about no eating from sunup to sundown? Until sundown daily, and it's autumn, you still have plenty of active hours at night to load up on carbs or proteins. Drink plenty of water. Yep, niece has come to say hi to you all. No eating from sunup to sundown. You know, and what would be one more taboo on this Day of the Dead? Thank you, ma'am. Hmm. How about this? Because we're remembering, kind of going into the idea that was offered above about shrines and whatnot of others. What if it's still social? Because I don't want it to be antisocial. I just want it to be intimate. What if it's taboo if you don't um, if you don't snap your fingers twice whenever you pass another another shrine. I mean, if we make it a grave, or unless it's like you're in the graveyard, then otherwise you're doing this all the time. But if you pass by another shrine, like a family shrine or something, or another place of remembrance, on this day you have to snap your fingers twice. Yeah, like holding your breath when you drive by a graveyard. You're right, O'Sheeps. All right, what are some common symbols that we see on this holiday? What are some common symbols? Think. Thank you, ma'am. Yeah, think to common holidays that you celebrate in our real world. What would be some shapes or symbols or silhouettes, sacred geometries, all sorts of stuff like that? That would be common during our own take on the Day of the Dead. That could be good. You should give food to cats also, even if it's not yours. Sure. Must offer food to cats. As apparently in this culture, the cats can see the dead or something along those lines. Why not? A common symbol could be, or if not cats, if not, we can keep it cats. But what about horses? Not only is it a farming community where horses and other beasts of burden are needed, if the one who takes the dead through the portal rides a horse. And so you must offer food and of course a lot of people are going to have horses as well. Also, they'll stay out of your webcam. Yeah, right. Swords sheathed in graves. Yeah. All right. So here, some common symbols. Horses. Swords in graves. And how about the distant mountain, but it's hollow inside? All right. Now, if it is taboo to not be colorful, what are some common colors that we see during our own Day of the Dead? Whatever we're going to call it. If Christmas is red and green, or red and green and white, or red, green, white, and gold. If Easter's pastels, if Halloween is orange and black, or orange and purple. What are some common colors? What are our colors? Do we have things like pinks? Pinks and blues? Do we have, is everything just as vivid as we can make it? Hey, no. Magenta and white? Hey, Hypnotic. Yeah, I hope you liked it. So I presume you all just finished up your the third session over at D&D time. Now with red, white, orange, and yellow, do those signify anything in particular, Godfather? Are those colors of begonias and dahlias? Is it what could that represent? I'm glad you had fun. Burgundy and white. So we want to take burgundy again. We had burgundy for. We had burgundy for our drinking festival, which was burgundy, gold, and green. Greens and whites may be included with the guide in mind. A pale pink. Yellows, white for dragonborn on a pale horse. Bright colors full of life, but white is also to pay homage to the guide. Okay. I kind of like something like a magenta. A magenta or a fuchsia could be good. Yellow for tie a yellow ribbon. Let's take a look at the colors of begonias. Because we could very easily draw inspiration here. Definitely seeing magenta. Lots of magenta, pink, and yellow. And there's white in there too. I think these are very good colors. Yeah, maybe you never, you know he's there, but it could be an unspoken taboo to mention him, right? You don't want to invoke him. You respect him, but you don't invoke him. The pale pink? Yeah. Yeah. Ooh, yeah. Oh, I have to plug in my headphones here. They finally died. All right. Now, we have common decorations. Now, we know that that there are primary traditions that involve begonias and such. So when I'm saying decorations, like I'm talking wreaths, Christmas tree stuff. I'm talking face painting, or we could swap face painting for a tradition if we want to paint our faces. Maybe we don't. Do we wear snouts like a dragonborn on this day? What are some decorations that we find in our Day of the Dead / Memorial Day / ancestor worship? Something that could be fun, and especially if we have those arches, sheeps. What if we have what if we write the name of our ancestors and tie it in a string, and then keep tying? And so you have a a string with a bunch of little pieces of paper of the names of ancestors, and then you hang those almost like wishes from bamboo during Obon. No, you're fine, Godfather. We totally get the intention. So what would we want to call those? Something like ancestor kites? Or you want to call them whispers? Whisper strings? So, for sure, garlands of flowers. Whisper strings. Ancestors' names knotted into a string and hung from the public arches. Yeah, whisper strands, whisper strings. All that is fine. I'm not saying that to glass it over. I want to make sure we're continuing to move. Let's get this straight. Cats are not evil. I don't think anyone is arguing that cats are evil, Bubonic. Unless I missed something in chat. Maybe some sort of charm to keep the guide from fully entering the normal world. Alright, so if we do that, and we go back to who this NPC representation of the holiday is. So we have a male white dragonborn druid, circle the land mountain, a cavalry soldier, unusual hair color, and maybe that's also a part of why this is such a colorful, festive thing. Because even though he's a dragonborn, it kind of has those like spine dreadlock looking things that you see in the books. Maybe they were all very colorful. Maybe he colored his spines to look different, to stand out, even though he was just in plain white. Great with animals. What about this? He speaks in rhyme or a peculiar way. And so if that's the case, what if there's some kind of like a chime, a little chime or a bell that people carry around as a way to, almost like an evil eye in Greek superstition. Maybe when you speak, you ring, like you have the bell on you, and you either actively ring it or you let the wind do it or whatever. But what if there's some sort of like a little rhyme scheme, or you carry around a little charm, or a bell that can not really ward off, because this guide isn't a bad person. You just don't want the shadow of death to I'd say warm over you, but you'd be cold. You'd be cold like a white dragonborn is cold, everyone. My cat is evil. She'll randomly walk up to and bite me, normally because she wants food. I still love her, though. Your cat doesn't steal your breath when you sleep? Or see ghosts? Colored strings in people's hair! Silencio! Common decorations. Colorful braids? Or, like, what were, like, strings or extensions or whatever? Or colorful headdresses, even? I love it. See how we're making this into an organic experience for this completely randomly generated society and culture that we're developing? Mr. Plunderloot, hey, welcome. I hope you had fun on D&D time too, Mr. Plunderloot. Hanging wind chimes? I think wind chimes would be great as well. No, you're fine, Bubonic. You were talking very passionately, and I wanted to make sure that there wasn't a conflict going on. Speak in rhyme or ring the chime to call the guide. Ooh, speak in rhyme or ring the chime. All right. So that'll almost be a primary tradition. Speak in rhyme or ring your chime. Oh, but that's the to call the guide to come? Oh, because he speaks in rhyme, and if you do, then... So speak in rhyme or ring your chime to call the guide to come. Speak in rhyme is a saying? Ah, all right. Yeah. Speak in rhyme or ring your chime to call the guide to come. Plunder loot. I have Tyranny of Dragons. I have 2 loose ones, and I have a sealed... I have a full brick. I have a brick of Avernus and 6 in an open brick of Avernus. I have Monster Menagerie 3. I think I have something like 4 loose ones and a brick of Monster Menagerie 3, if you want it in one. And I have 2 Storm King's Thunders. You're not warding him, but drawing him to your ancestors. And so because you want him to bring your ancestors on this day to the portal, so you can say hello and or goodbye, or you can speak with them. So it's not a bad thing. It might sound ominous, but that actually will call. Yeah, I love that. It calls the guide to bring your ancestor to you, so you can speak with him or her. Hey, 12 for 10. No, you're fine, Hypnotic. Excellent. All right. What are common foods that we eat? Now, if the taboo is that we fast from sunup to sundown, okay. What do we eat prior to the sun rising or the sun setting or after the sun sets? Do we have a feast or do we have something humble? Do we have a food in particular that is that makes us think of the dead? You know, ribs, because we have meat and bone. Like what would be, or would common food just simply be you have to eat something that an ancestor of yours liked, or a common food is simply it has to be a family recipe, no matter what it is. It has to be a family recipe that's been made. You can have something like that. Not everything has to be, chocolate bunnies for Easter, or pretzels for New Year, or hot dogs for Independence Day, stuff like that. It would probably be water only until the sun rises or until the sun sets. Hey, it's D&D time! Welcome. Oysters and other aphrodisiacs to prep. Well, they're not by a body of salt water, but I guess we can invent freshwater oysters to go along with the eels. Although they have eels, maybe the eels are considered to be an aphrodisiac, right? Fish are often said to improve one's body. It's going very well, D&D time. We have been having an amazing time fleshing out these holidays. And I hope that you have had a rockin' time running your 3 adventures tonight, too. Aren't there fruits that are considered sexy or something, like pomegranates? Maybe there are. We could invent one. Either an original fruit that just doesn't normally exist, or we say, I don't know, maybe we say raisins are sexy. Because we already grow grapes. And so maybe raisins are somehow, considered to be romantic food. Dragon fruit? I think that's a tropical one, but it doesn't. This is a fantasy world. It could be whatever we want it to be. Just grapes on the vine that you feed your lover while they lounge on a luxurious couch. That could be romantic as well. Although this is probably taking place after the majority of the grapes have been harvested. So in this case, maybe raisins. Like that, again, that's why I suggest raisins, because they've been preserved, and so it's something that's delicious and can sustain life even after the grape's death. And so I think there's symbolism to that as well. Yeah, honey doesn't go. Yeah, we have bees. We have beekeepers in this place. Raisins, honey butter rolls. Bread in the evening to fill your belly. You know, and I think these should be like simple things as well. Dried horse meat, says Cybernetic. Or, as Daly was saying, you know, something that could be considered an aphrodisiac. So maybe there are, if there's eels, instead of oysters, what about crawfish? Crawfish could be a, you know, maybe as a shellfish, it's considered more of a delicacy, a little rarer. It's something that you eat on special occasion, and this would certainly be that. Now, oh sheeps, Rocky Mountain oysters are different things. Rocky Mountain oysters are not oysters. But that's what you're. Well, I mean, look, there are cultures, and there's nothing wrong with that. Many cultures eat organs that we don't traditionally hear in the U.S. You want to? Oh, those last two tyrannies? I got you, Mr. Plunderloot. So in that case, if they are raising cattle, they might even be raising pigs, because we talked about a roasted boar. There is a mountain, so they might have, instead of crawfish, or in addition, they call them mountain oysters. What would bring virility, and also what causes life? I mean, well, what is a cause of life? It's not like you're gonna run out of horses or pigs or anything else to geld in order to you know, for animal control purposes, let alone to eat for nutrition or virility. Oh yeah, yeah, I agree. I didn't get rid of crawfish because I don't believe in that they couldn't be. Yeah, boar oysters. Um, oh sheeps, that does it. If Matty Morgs comes out to see us, we're taking him to the fort for our Rocky Mountain specialty. I've had Rocky Mountain oysters before. How do you think I know about them? You know, I don't scarf them down every day, but I've had them before. Maybe they can only eat the fermented hops that the ale was made from that day. Oh, so like a Vegemite? Like the yeasty leftovers? All right. Hey, adios, Infernizard, and thank you for coming back. I hope you had fun on this night as well. Yeah, eel roe, eggs of some kind. Eggs, eel roe. All right. Now, what are three sayings or greetings? They could also be curses. What are three things people say during this time of year? And one was speak in rhyme or ring your chime to call the guide to come. What's something else that people say? I feel like a night at Casa Bonita and a night at the fort, and you will not forget the metro area of Denver. I will go on a culinary adventure. Crumb Drade, you say your wife says that she won't kiss you if you eat Rocky Mountain oysters again. Now, all right, so Godfather, if you say that to me, what does that mean? So if you tell me, may the guide bring them home, is that a well wishing? Is that like what is what's the super condensed explanation, like the literal translation to the metaphor of the saying? To the afterlife, to their new home. So it's something that you say in comfort to someone who might be upset. You know, may the guide bring them home. And so you say that to comfort people? Oh, something you say as people are hanging whisper strands? What about, what else might someone say? What would be a greeting? Like, oh, good morning, good afternoon. It could involve time of day. It could involve the fasting. It could involve the activities that take place over this festival. May your ancestors guide you. May you be remembered forever. If your parents are dead when this is said to you, it is a blessing. If your parents are alive at the time, it's a curse. Oh, I like the inflection on that, Raz. Gresgot, which means greet God. You got to remember your favorite colors for that, though. What would be a greeting? Like, what would be something like a, happy Halloween to you? That's a greeting. It doesn't have to be like super exuberant. Good riddance is a good curse. What would be something people would say to greet each other during this time? I mean, there's may the guide bring them home, but is that what you'd say your neighbors? Like, you get up in the morning, you go out, your neighbor's trimming his hedges, and you say may the guide bring them home, or... Now, we also have to think of two song titles. And I'm not looking for the lyrics, but I would love a song title. And generally, what kind of song is it? And or when would you sing this song? Blessed Guide's Eve. Nice and simple. So one of the songs was "Dahlias for the Living, Begonias for the Dead," and this is sung when tending to family graves. What is a second song that people sing? Remember, it could be romantic. It could be remembering ancestors. It could be remembering people who lost their lives in defense of the town. It could just be a celebration of life or a respectful nod to death. There is a season. Turn, turn, turn. Beautiful soup says 12 for 10. So what is behind beautiful soup? Oh, it's Lewis Carroll, and a shame I missed that reference then. Or a great stock, says Daly. Our dead are never dead to us is a song title, Mr. Plunderloot. When would people sing "Our dead are never dead to us"? Maybe it's something like "Life Anew." Oh, because of the romance aspect? Ah. Life Anew. All right, common clothing. What are some common pieces of clothing that people wear? Some kind of a shawl. We are in a brisk autumnal region with frost and whatnot. Are there particular pieces of clothing or even a type of clothing or a pattern? People wear lace accents. And what does the lace accents mean? They're kind of like dissipating, like there's their body, but then it kind of like is evaporating into nothingness, or 12 for 10 is just saying a simple tunic. A shawl to go under the headdress. You know, in this culture, is lace kind of, you know, it's not seen as fancy per se, but it kind of makes you ghostly because if you have lace, you have kind of like a see-through outline. Frock coats. So why would it be frock coats? I'm not against it, Plunderloot, but I also want to know why you're suggesting these things. Yellow ribbons tied around hair or arm. Lace is very fragile, like life and love. So is this something that both men and women would wear, or is it like kilts where it's just the men folk who wear the kilts? I like lace, and I don't. I mean, traditionally, guys don't usually wear lace. I have no problem if the men folk wore lace on this, you know, in this society. Heavy wool keeps you warm. Would it be symbolic of something then, Plunderloot, or is it just for practical reasons? You know, do people wear color? Do they put like a lace brim on their harvest hats? And so you have, it's not like a veil, like a mourning veil, but you have a colorful lace, like trim to your traditional harvest hat that you wear. For lace, the women wear it during the day, and at night they exchange it with their love. So it'd be like a lace neckband or veil. Oh, all right. So yeah. So you know, boyfriend, girlfriend, or whomever. The girl wears the lace, and then at night, when it's, you know, as an intimate gesture, she takes something like a lace collar or a lace veil and puts it on her lover, and he wears the lace as a signifying the passing of life from one to the other, and the beauty and the fragility. I love that. Common clothing, lace on hats and collars, often exchanged at night as an intimate initiative. Perhaps there's a lot of lace parasols. Yeah. So lace, like we're gonna find lace on a bunch of stuff. A garter, a garter on the leg or the arm. Welcome back, Hypnotic. Practical, plus it gives a gothic Victorian vibe. So if this is maybe very late in the autumn and it is getting cold, this is probably after first frost. When death is just about to settle in. I can see that happening. So a customary wool frock coat. Man, you have some great ideas. And this is really making this society come alive. We're building an economy, we're building a culture, we're building religious practices. And we don't have to super strain our brains to do so. All right, what do we smell? If we want to say flowers, I mean, that's fine. Are there certain perfumes that people wear? What about incense? If we burn incense, perhaps, is there a popular incense that is, or oil, like an essential oil? What are some common scents that we would smell on Dia de los Muertos? Corsages. Oh, yeah, corsages of the flowers. Oh, you know what? We brought up sage earlier as a spice to eat, and something that many cultures do in order to get food to the dead is to burn it. And so, a Phoenix wants to make something called a dragon's breath incense. Now, because the dragonborn breath is cold, would it be mint? Would mint be called dragon's breath because it makes you feel like you're exhaling cold and frost? Our two dragonborn are silver and white. They breathe frost. I can't say I know what dragon's breath smells like then, Phoenix, so I was only going off of what we've been referencing. Although, again, so if you put that and you have players that know, and then you describe it as mint, it's kind of a fun take on something different. Right? You have minty, fresh breath. You're breathing ice like the dragonborns do. I mean, still, we could just call it dragon's breath. Whether or not it's mint, doesn't matter. We'll call it dragon's breath. Flowers. And, alright, what's one other popular scent? What's one other popular scent that we would pick up? Burning fats from the meal from the night before to share it to the fallen family. Loam would be used to place in a bowl for the base of offerings, hence the scent would be quite unmistakable. So something very earthy like loam, especially if we're tending graves. If we're tending graves and cleaning stone, something like that would be noticeable. Now the question is, are we growing all this stuff local to us? Not that we can't import from other places, but would this be... You know, we have dwarves involved from the mountain as well. Would any of this be mountainous? Is there like a stone smell? A rock, like an earthy, like wet earth? Maybe part of the washing of the grave is to also pour water on the grave too? Like wet earth is kind of like a freshly cut lawn. Loam is excellent, or loam, yeah, a growing material. Excellent. Now, besides making a secondary story, which again, the primary story is the story of the main character and the story of the season, the reason for the season. The secondary story is where we get Charlie Brown and the Great Pumpkin on Halloween, even though Halloween isn't about that. It's where we get shoot, what would be a good there's got to be a Thanksgiving one. Loam. Oh, and it fits into the fertility aspect. Sure. If this is a good summary, I'll say loam. Well, I don't know if rose quartz has a smell, does it? Maybe it does. Maybe that's what that was one of the things they mined from the mountain, or it exists in the foothills where some of the dwarves still dig. Oh, you're just talking stones. Okay. So yeah, a secondary story would be, so here's the overarching holiday, though this is a story that takes place in the concept of the holiday. It's the Christmas carol set within the story of Christmas. But, okay, got it, oh sheeps. So here, we have a holiday, everyone. And now that we have all 4 holidays, oh, by the way, what do we want to call it? What is the name of this holiday? Of the Day of the Dead for us here. Now we have a settlement. We have our village or whatever. It could be 500, 5,000 people. We have a society, an economy. We have a folklore, if not bleeding into a full religion. We have the tenants of our map. We have the things that they believe and the things that they do, and it helps fill out the map and describe who grows what, who does what, what's valued, what's rejected. How would other people interact with these dwarves and halflings as they've come to form a society? Guides Eve? Guidance Day? Yeah, so it might be day, because if we can't eat during the day, that's probably because during the day is when we're actively involving ourselves with the dead. So Guidance Day could be something. The White Rider that takes disrespectful children to the afterlife. Ancestral Visitation Day? I mean, it could also just be called something like a Memorial Day. Or it could be called, I've used this word several times, liminality. It could just be called liminality. It could be called Veilpass. Because we pass from the veil of life into death, and we also pass our veil of lace to the person we love as a show that we want to continue making family. We want to continue. Would something like that work? I think it's symbolic. It works on a couple different levels. Because that the love and reproduction is a part of this Day of the Dead as well. So Veilpass is the veil of life to death, and the veil of a gift of opening oneself to another romantically. Veilpass sounds awesome. We did it, everyone! Yay! Give yourselves a hand, or oh sheeps, give yourself a hoof. We made 4 holidays that are awesome. They're unique. They're custom tailored to everything that we did. And by the way, I want to point out, with the help of our imaginations, all of this was done through random rolls. Random rolls. I drove Veilpass last week. Daly's coming in here with the puns. Keeping it real. You think that the White Rider is a second story? So the White Rider is not the reason for the season, but is the Santa Claus instead? That could be. I have no problem with that. You have to sleep in a long, hard day. All right, Bubonic. Hey, thank you for joining and talking and participating and giving a little bit of history and culture. Random rolls and random brains. Is that the new name for the channel? I kind of like that. Random rolls and random brains. I want to celebrate this holiday. It'd be a lot of fun, I think. Well, people, yeah. So if people don't have a lover, or or maybe you have a widow or a widower, there's probably something then that the veil or the lace gets passed in some other way, or is put up in a memorial or something. Orc, I'm glad that Cybernetic Lithid's been able to help you out. Maybe that's part of the merrymaking that evening. To find one. There could, I mean, it was brought up, what if there's a dance? Why couldn't there be a dance? So after the sun goes down and people can eat again, why not have a social mixer where people are, encouraged to pass to pass their veils, to find someone, maybe if only for an evening, in order to demonstrate their love, or to find continuation of life in some way. And so it's a I don't know if I'd call it a hootenanny. Definitely a hoedown. I don't know if it's a hootenanny though. But I think a social mixer after the sun goes down, so that the living can eat and celebrate and meet each other and dance, and not like super party time, but it's still a respectful social mixer. If you want to, well, I don't, I've been thinking about changing the channel name before I go like full into social media and everything, Raz. So it could be a possibility. Yeah, celebration of life. Yeah, it could be a big bonfire. Simple rejoicing. Yeah, I mean, I'm not talking like, a pinata of a pregnant woman and a bunch of little candy babies fall out of her if you bash it or whatever. Something, it wouldn't be something like that. But it should be, fun, have a romantic aspect, things along those lines. Of course, that's when the mountain oysters are served, and to get everyone in the mood, a little bit of warm wine, like a mulled wine, a spiced wine, is brought out to help keep people warm, and maybe because it is so late in the autumn. And remember, winter doesn't start till the solstice. It's technically December is fall by the calendar. I know a lot of us are like, nah, it's September. September through November is fall. Come on, get out of here. If we're going by a solar calendar, December is still autumn. And this could very well be a December autumnal holiday. So people would be cold, and they have to wear the heavy frock coats to have the warm spiced wine to do all this. Well, all right, Orc, you can suggest it. It wouldn't be Pops. No. Winter starts at the worst time of year. Yeah, doesn't it? Well, you're in a special place, Orc. All right. Well, we've wrapped this up. We're going to go raid someone. It is time for the workshop to come to an end. It is 3:20 a.m. I got to go to bed early, actually. I know normally we stay up till 4 and look for the Salty Dragon Tavern. I do not have that luxury. Oh, pff, my goodness! My goodness! Yes, your boxes.